This movie is called The Circle 2015. Sit back and enjoy watching. 50 strangers are trapped in a mysterious room. Under everyone's feet is a red circle. They can't step out of the red circle. They can't touch each other, or else they'll be electrocuted instantly. In the center is a black device that decides who lives and who dies. Deadly electrical shocks are fired every 2 minutes. One unlucky participant is randomly selected from the 50 people. An aperture appears under the hand of the person who's chosen. Then they are dragged into the darkness by a mysterious force. The participants slowly start discovering a pattern to the shocks. It turns out to be a voting game. There are 50 arrows, each pointing at a person in the room. The participants can vote by moving their hand toward an arrow, but they can only see their own selection. They can't see the choices of others. The person with the most votes each round is electrocuted immediately. A man with a striped shirt speaks up, reasoning that if someone has to die each round, it's better to take control of the voting and decide who dies first, which will buy them time to figure out how to escape. The striped man suggests voting off the elderly first, arguing that they don't have much time left anyway. As soon as he says this, the older participants protest, although others find it unfair. When the countdown resumes, they vote off the older participants until they're all gone. Soon, it's the turn of a 52-year-old woman with a hat. She is terminally ill but remains hopeful. She begs everyone not to vote for her. But the striped man is relentless, still using her age as a reason to encourage others to vote for her. This angers some of the middle-aged participants, who argue that it wouldn't be fair to start targeting people in their 50s, as most of the room is still middle-aged. So, without hesitation, they vote for the striped man, hoping to find a way out. The woman suggests that everyone should introduce themselves, in case they find some common connection. A woman begins by introducing her family, but she rambles and misses the point, and no one seems to care about her family situation. As the countdown resumes, the impatient crowd votes her off. After that, no one else is willing to introduce themselves, because the more attention they attract, the more likely they are to become a target. At this point, another man tries to win the group's sympathy, claiming that the woman beside him is his wife. He begs everyone not to vote for her. Surprisingly, it works. Instead, they vote for an older woman nearby. Then, a police officer in the corner speaks up, identifying a man he recognizes as a criminal with a record, and stating that people like him deserve punishment. The group votes him off. People start to agree that criminals should be voted off first, but this angers a black man in the group, who feels his skin color puts him at a disadvantage. The police officer reveals his racist views, yelling at the black man, and claiming that black people are the problem. Most people in the room oppose this discrimination, and they vote off the police officer. In order to survive, the group begins to try other strategies. They agree to vote for the person to their right, to ensure everyone receives the same number of votes. The result is a tie, and 2 people are randomly selected. One is a middle-aged man, and the other is a pregnant woman. The group has to vote between them again. Naturally, the pregnant woman garners more sympathy, so the middle-aged man is voted off. After that, everyone tries to vote for themselves, but people continue to die, as it seems the rule prevents them from voting for themselves. One participant in black realizes, we can't vote for ourselves. He concludes that ultimately, only one person can survive. He suggests that children and pregnant women should be the ones to survive. Most of the group agrees with this view, but a few disagree, arguing that in a life or death situation, weakness shouldn't guarantee survival. One person even brings up the young girl's poor grades as an excuse, attempting to incite the group to vote her off, claiming that the pregnant woman deserves to live more than the young girl. At this point, human decency briefly shines through, as the black man, disturbed by the group's actions, decides to sacrifice himself so the young girl doesn't have to die. Another participant asks if anyone else is willing to sacrifice themselves to give others more time. All eyes turn to the soldier in the group, with the assumption that he should be the one to lead by example. But the soldier hesitates, as he doesn't want to die yet. He explains that he's already risked his life defending his country, and that his wife just gave birth to his son. He was trapped in this situation before he could return home to see his newborn son. His heartfelt words move the group, and they encourage him to survive and reunite with his family. Suddenly, another man turns the group's attention to a couple, suggesting that the husband should sacrifice himself for his wife. But to everyone's surprise, It turns out they aren't actually a couple, and they had only pretended to be married to gain sympathy. The fake husband quickly points out that it was all the fake wife's idea. However, the group sees through his attempt to shift blame. The group votes him off as punishment. Afterward, people begin to vote based on racial and personal biases, using their own values as justification. Soon, only 5 people remain from the original 50. A long-haired man and a short-haired man hold differing opinions. The short-haired man believes that the pregnant woman and young girl should be saved for last. The long-haired man, however, disagrees, wanting to keep his chance of survival for himself. The group rejects the long-haired man's selfish behavior. Now, only 4 people are left in the room. One of the older men has remained silent the entire time, and it turns out he never voted at all. He stays silent until the very last moment. As the countdown ends, only 3 people remain. The man in black states that only one of the remaining 2 can survive. The young girl looks at the pregnant woman's belly, and in tears says she will give up her chance so the pregnant woman can live. The short-haired man then suggests that he and the girl step out of their circles at the same time, allowing the pregnant woman to be the sole survivor. But just as the countdown reaches its end, as the girl steps out of her circle, the short-haired man doesn't follow her. Instead, he votes for the pregnant woman. It turns out his talk of protecting the weak was all an act, and he used a facade of kindness to save himself. When he wakes up, he finds himself outside the facility. In the distance, he sees a huge spaceship and a group of people looking up at the sky. Most of them appear to be the old, weak, sick, and disabled, likely the survivors from other rounds of the game. The darkness and light of human nature have all been revealed in this game. As choices dwindled, people's morals continued to sink lower and lower. When faced with life and death, people chose to survive over letting others live. Maybe different people would have chosen differently. The story ends there. Thanks for watching.